Thank you for joining me today for this bittersweet update regarding missing mother, 23-year-old Briana Winston from Clayton County, Georgia. Allow me to provide a quick summary for those who may be unfamiliar with the case. Briana's last contact was on March 16. She was reported missing on the 1st of April. The case was very suspicious from the beginning as investigators found Briana's apartment had already been cleaned out, including her clothes, furniture, and more. Clayton County officials released an update in the case, stating they have found Briana's remains and share many details of the case. I do need to advise caution as some of this information may be very sensitive for some individuals.
Good afternoon. I'm Major Frank Thomas, the commander of the Criminal Investigations Division for the Clayton County Police Department. The Criminal Investigations Division was made aware of a missing person case on April the 2nd, 2024. It was very suspicious. The Major Felony Unit Commander and her staff immediately began working the case. The case was ultimately concluded as a homicide. To solve this case, they used over 1,100 man-hours, executed 26 search warrants, digital media forensics, search and rescue canines, bank records, social media sites, and good old-fashioned police work. I want to thank the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation for the continued support and endless hours assisting my detectives in Tennessee last week. I'd also like to thank the Clayton County Sheriff's Office for quickly arresting all offenders in this case who are not already incarcerated. I'll now turn it over to Lieutenant Marbury, the Major Felony Unit Commander.
I'm Lieutenant Marbury, Major Felony Unit Commander at CID. So on April 1st, Briana Winston was reported by her family as a missing person after they had not seen or heard from her since about March the 16th. On April 2nd, we assumed the investigation. It was myself, Sergeant Bice, Sergeant Teskey, Detective Bryson, Detective Moore, and Detective Wright. We tirelessly worked to figure out exactly what happened to Briana. So after employing several investigative measures and obtaining more than 20 search warrants, the investigation led us to Tennessee, where we found answers that left us some happiness but a lot of sorrow for Briana. On Monday, May 6th, we traveled to Tennessee, and we were received by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, who had on our behalf enlisted the assistance of other agencies, such as the TWRA, which is the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, and also first responders within the Madison and Lauderdale counties. On May 7th, we started our search along a stretch of I-40. We were looking for the remains of Briana. We eventually traveled to Gates, Tennessee, where we were met with a man who we believed would be able to tell us the full story on what we had been piecing together for approximately a month. After reaching a dead end in pleading and basically negotiating with him for the truth, as a last resort, we introduced the offer of a proffer, through which he provided us with the intricate details that not even we were expecting to hear. So we sat down with the Lauderdale County ADA, Ms. Julie Pillow, and in that room, the man confirmed that on March the 17th, Michael Edwards arrived at his home, and he took a suitcase out of the trunk, which contained Briana Winston's body. Together, the two men placed the suitcase inside of a burn barrel located behind the home. They doused it with accelerant, lit a fire, and they kept that fire burning from the early afternoon until nightfall, burning Briana's body until she was just skeletal remains. The man told us that both he and Edwards used a shovel to break down Briana's bones in an attempt to speed up the burning process. And then once nightfall hit, Edwards took a portion of Briana's remains, which he was to dispose on the side of the highway. The man also told us what was left within the burn barrel he took and transported to a church in Ripley, Tennessee. He took that barrel behind the church and dumped the remains in a cemetery in the wooded area. When we asked how it was that Briana was killed, the man was able to tell us that Edwards did go to Briana's apartment during the early morning hours of March 17th, and in an argument where she had confronted him after learning about his infidelity to her, he choked her. Assisted by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, as previously mentioned, we recovered Briana's remains at the cemetery, and prior to traveling in Tennessee, we interviewed several people. Briana Edwards Phillips is one of those people that we interviewed. There was also Ebony Anderson, who is the mother of Michael Edwards. She was interviewed as well. On April 4th, we interviewed Michael. On the 5th, we interviewed Briana. And during that interview, it was found out that she provided several statements that were verbal and written. They were false. And for that, we did take out an arrest warrant. Also learned in that interview on April 5th, we found out that she had secretly married Michael on January 5th of 2024, and nobody was aware that the two were married. So Michael, on April 8th, we took warrants out on him. That was for aggravated stalking. That was related to a previous case where he was in violation of a stay-away order from October 2023. It was October 13th, 2023. It was a domestic violence arrest that stemmed from an incident that occurred between him and Briana. And while reviewing jail calls, we heard Michael tell Briana Edwards Phillips to burn a pair of shoes and a pair of gloves. He also told her that his brother Keelan Wright would assist her with the burning of these items. Upon returning from Tennessee, we were able to obtain arrest warrants for additional arrest warrants for Michael. They were for aggravated assault, malice murder, felony murder, tampering with evidence. Warrants were obtained for conspiracy to tamper with evidence related to Ebony Anderson and Keelan Wright, because we found evidence through our search warrants that they had in fact burned the shoes and the gloves that Michael asked them to burn for them. We placed an additional warrant out for the arrest of Briana Edwards Phillips after we found evidence that suggested that she had provided Michael with a ride to Tennessee, and she also was very well aware of his whereabouts on March 17th while he was there burning Briana's remains. Are there any questions?
Was Briana Phillips Edwards, did she go with him? You said provided a ride. Did she go with him?
No, she did not travel to Tennessee with him.
Just provided her.
She provided her vehicle as a mode of transportation. Michael did not have a vehicle.
And the mother, what was her role in this?
The mother, we have evidence that suggests that she took a part in burning the items that Michael called and asked to be burned from jail on April 8th.
I gotta ask you, it sounds like a family affair. She's involved in it.
Well, it turned into a family affair. He definitely looped everyone in to this crime.
What was the proffer for the gentleman, the person in Tennessee?
What?
The proffer.
It is what a proffer is. The proffer is that he would provide information to the district attorney's office in exchange for immunity from being charged.
So he has immunity?
He does.
These are very gruesome allegations for what happened. I mean, is that the reason why the malice murder charge is malice as opposed to something else?
It was malice murder because it took some forethought. It was not a crime that was committed in the heat of passion. There was malice. There was some intent there. The option was to walk away. You have the option to walk away from arguments.
How crucial was that jail call to this investigation, getting everybody involved behind bars and charges?
All the evidence in this case is exceptionally crucial. I don't think one piece outweighs the other. It all fits together to tie the puzzle pieces.
How much information do you think Briana Phillips knew? Like, did she know the choking happened when it happened? Did she know how early did she know about all this?
And it's very hard to tell how much information she had. Everything that we have spoken to her about has led us to believe that it was a substantial amount of untruthfulness. Do y'all wish to say anything? Family does not want to speak.
In closing, I do want to say that we are surrounded with family members here, only because without them, we wouldn't have gotten where we were in some of the parts of this investigation. They filled in those gaps for somebody who wasn't around, showing what their day-to-day routine was, and we were able to already show the day-to-day routine had stopped. So they were very crucial in it, and we've been with them the whole time, and we really appreciate their support and being able to close this case for them. That's all we have. Thank you.